Good evening, everyone. As you're signing in, if you could again put your name and where you're from in the chat box. We're just doing a scroll through of screenshots from the trainings, the first 3 sessions that you participated in. Again, welcome. We'll get going in a minute. Folks, thank you for introducing yourselves to the screen and the chat box. We're up to well over 100 participants already. A lot of these screenshots look familiar to you. Some are from the opening session, others were taken from the recorded ones. Thank you for participating in those. Aaron Leroy, it's just amazing to see the diversity of the folks we have. New York to California to Illinois to Wyoming, Florida, see New Jersey popping up. So thank you for signing in with us, folks. I think all of you have a Champlain National Bank with a different name near you. It's local, and someone like Jackie that's there to work with you. So get some great resources in your community. Hopefully we tie this up and you learn how to take advantage of them if you're not doing so already. I see the participants have slowed down. So Kelsey, if you can cut the video and we'll kick it off. Well, good evening, everyone, or good afternoon to you guys in Hawaii. If we have anyone from Ireland, good evening. You should be sleeping by now, but welcome. Today we're going to take a look at bringing together all the elements of the training that we've looked at, from giving you tools to interact with your child, to create their CCR map, to find ways to engage in conversations on their interests, both career and educational, and then share with you some information on the changing landscape or the new paradigm of college and career readiness, and then provide you with some of the tools and strategies that we're going to move forward with. So Tara, if you want to turn the PowerPoint on, we'll start moving through, and we're going to try to fade back and forth from this. Folks, rather than just have the PowerPoint up, we'll get to see what we're talking about. But again, really today's agenda, we just simply want to look at bringing the elements together. We do appreciate the feedback that you've given us on the surveys and aspects from that. It was very helpful to see what you appreciated, comments that you would make for changes. And then after that, we're going to go back and how do we put together that whole CCR map for your child and use it as a tool for you. As I mentioned, we'll talk about the shifts in the college and career readiness, and then resources and tools for next year. Hey, for the next thing that we want to really take a look at is we start off with the Mentimeter. You did a word cloud of what it takes to be college and career ready. This was just incredible to watch it evolve. One of the most in-depth ones we had. And the one that amazes me about this is we had so many different responses that many of them weren't bold. Many times we repeat the same phrases. But as we move forward, some of the things, and I'll have Leroy and Tara chime in, but here's what I saw. I saw areas of knowledge of financial aid, knowledge of the application process, knowledge of the connections of education to career, certificate requirements. We looked at skills in the area of essential skills, how to persevere, how to set goals, time management, how to be independent, how to work with grit. And then we also saw some interpersonal skills within there is, self-motivation, courage, emotional support, having the ability to overcome obstacles. And then the last section that I saw, just in summary of all these, were what were the different supports that young people need? I saw the word mentoring in there. I see the word guidance. I see the word counseling, training in there, financial support, guidance from someone that's been through that. So, and I think that kind of sets up nicely our core practices that we shared with you of essential skills, college and career pathways, and mentoring. Leroy, Tara, any observations on the word cloud?
I'll just reiterate what Ron has shared. At the very beginning of this training process, we asked you to take some time to really think about what it means for your child to be college and career ready. And as you can see on the screen, there are a lot of ways and a lot of pieces, elements that are valued and necessary. This was a really good activity for us to engage you in, because it really helps set the scene and kind of create this foundation and spotlight those building blocks that Ron mentioned. And when you think about it in those three pillars, even though there are 1,000 words on the screen, when you think about it in more simple terms, that it's, building knowledge and gathering resources around pathways to college and career, having support systems in place, people, human resource to support a child, and then those essential skills that we know employers are looking for in workplace and college will come in are really important in helping our kids be not only better prepared but more successful in their pathway. And that really helped kind of set us up with the
Ron, I was thinking too, I saw that all these words,
yeah,
and good, first of all, good evening everyone, and good morning and good afternoon, appropriately where you are. I'm here to join with Ron and Tara with you. I saw three things, three needs. First, these words suggest that there are things that parents and caregivers who are working on college and career readiness need to learn, things they need to learn, like financial aid. Then there are resources they need to get, things that they need help with that they will get from CFES counselors and others. Then there are personal qualities that they need to develop around self-advocacy, around searching for self-help. So these represent, you could put these into needs, and learning, the need for resources, and the need to develop the qualities to be able to get through this process.
Great observation, Leroy. And I think one of the things we talked about, I believe it was in session 2, is about your own personal network and building that to achieve that with young kids. So as we move on from the word cloud, hopefully you use that as a foundation, because one of your first steps needs to be engage your school counselor, reach out to the experts in your child's schools. That's what they do for a living. They've been doing it for years, and they do an amazing job. Utilize them. One of the things I've learned is, as a retired educator, many times I've dealt with people, they didn't even know what question to begin asking. So hopefully you take the word cloud of what you gave us, that your child needs to be college and career ready, and you can begin questioning of the network and finding the resources that Leroy talked about. But more importantly, engage your school counselor with that and help them by giving them the questions they want. So you guys gave us the building blocks of college and career readiness in session 1. So we introduced our core practices and shared a little bit with you. And then you went into session 2, the career pathways, and we introduced you to our brilliant career lab. We gave you the webbing activity to build and create your network. We truly believe that as you look at pathways, as you move along the pathway, networks and your support should grow and expand, because your needs, like Leroy says, are going to change. As we covered in section 3, so many aspects of your network already have available scholarships. Your own community may have a $1 for Scholars program or a local citizen scholarship organizations. Your churches, your civic organizations, your own state, as we introduced, has those tools. So as you look at developing a pathway for your child, explore the career options. A little bit later on, Leroy is going to talk about the changing paradigm of the workforce and the careers. It's amazing to see how many folks are never going back to work. They're going to be working remotely. They'll never go back to a cubicle in their office. You'll see offices in urban areas redesigned into conference centers so that there's more interaction with people during that time than working alone. So explore the pathways. We gave you information on what are the emerging ones, the green energies, the wind farm technology, solar panels. We looked at the medical field. We talked about the entertainment industry just exploding with job opportunities from Netflix and other major corporations as that has changed. So how do you prepare and get your child thinking about what jobs they may have? It's a little bit easier if they're a junior or senior in high school, but someone in 6th or 7th grade is the job that they're going to have probably hasn't even been created yet. But how do you build those skills of the essential skills that are transferable along the ways? And then we introduced you into the different types of colleges and educations, and then paying for college. We talk about college as technical schools, career schools, anything where a child earns a certificate of value that makes them marketable and transferable, whether it's a carpenter's license, a plumber's license, an A+ certification in technology that opens the doors for them to emerge. But as they look for what their interests are, what credentials do they need to build along the way? And as Leroy is going to share, the college experience has changed. It may never go back to what it was. We see the interesting thing right now of colleges is that are more selective colleges, the ones that are harder to get in, they're getting more and more applicants they've had in the past, where many of the less selective ones, your state universities and ones that don't have the higher criteria and often the lower tuition rates, are seeing declines in applications. And boy, Leroy made it real clear in the opening is they need your sons or daughters or you to attend so that they stay in operation. And then the biggest thing is paying for college and paying for school, which we addressed a little bit. And in February, we're having a specific webinar just on how to find and apply for scholarships more on the state level and local level that are above and beyond the financial aid. And hopefully what we do in this training now is to bring all of those aspects together and share you with resources as to where we're going in the future. Hey, one of the things that we do appreciate, many of you filled out that survey and gave us a little bit of feedback. We appreciate that. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a little conversation among the three of us now on things that we saw in there, certain themes that came up. Folks, we had over 600 and something participants, in 30 minutes. It was unrealistic to expect we meet everybody's needs, but we were hoping to build the foundation. And at the end of today, when we lay out where do we go from here, I hope you see that we have sessions designed just for you of what your interest may be that'll go much more in depth, whether it's the college application process, whether it's the financial aid, whether it's completing the FAFSA and applying for that. But we will show you an outline of where we go starting as soon as tomorrow morning with a career hour from Southwest Airlines talking about careers in aviations with one of the major players. So, Tara, any comments, observations you saw in the feedback from participants or what they want to learn more about?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. I'm sort of an essential skill nerd in the office, so I was really drawn to the comments about just the kind of the recognition of these essential skills being absolutely critical to helping their child be successful, and we know that to be true, but there was a lot of comments around, how do we really support students in practicing those skills? And I think that in response to it, that particular comment or comments, students are practicing these skills every day. It's sometimes they're maybe aren't they aren't utilizing that skill in every area of their life. But a lot of the skill development can come with experiences. So the more that you can encourage your child to get involved, that's involved in sports or clubs, job shadowing, volunteering, community service, anything that they can do that allows them opportunities to collaborate with other people, to have a kind of a shared goal that they can move through and strategize and kind of move through that process of achieving, opportunities to step into leadership positions, maybe not in the traditional sense, but really just encouraging your child to get themselves out there. And that is one of the ways that they can really start to practice these skills, be exposed to these skills, and start to be more mindful of how these skills can be applied to different aspects of their life.
Good, thanks. Hey, Tara, one of the things I saw was some feedback to us about including college students, diversifying our presenters. Folks, we've tried to do that with the upcoming webinars and the sessions that we'll provide. In addition to going more in depth, a lot of you wanted more in-depth training onto, you talk about the essential skills, but finding careers and majors that are appropriate for the future, finding the right fit for college, and that's so personal for every child. Folks, it's on our website, but there's a recorded session of preparing for college. It was done by the University of Vermont, and they talked about the whole application process and the financial aid process. It was a 30-minute part of our sessions for youngsters during the day. It's recorded. You may want to go back and watch that with your son or daughter, because it was a college staff giving it advice and insight into the application process. And then a lot more about finding scholarships and the financial aid. Going back, talking about finding the right fit, is many of the virtual tours that we offer during our career hours or our scholar sessions that are recorded are done by students or are done by recent graduates of the school. So they're hearing from the kids and what school was really like. So any other thoughts or reflections on the feedback that we got? I know we truly appreciate it.
In addition, Ron, I think it's important to talk about how families want to be able to develop pathways, and they want the information that provides them with a way to build a pathway for their child. And I would first tell people that to lean on and utilize the map we gave you.
Right.
The map is designed and will give you, as you go through it, a process to ask yourself, what are the questions of information that you want to know? So obviously the last question in the map does that.
Right.
And I know a lot of families did that by focusing on how will you pay for college and career training. And what I want to say to them, in addition to, of course, coming back again and again to our sessions, and again challenging us with your questions and your needs via chat, via the surveys that happen afterwards, and just hitting us up in email or contacting us through social media with your concerns, because our Facebook page and Instagram page are open 24/7. But in addition, I would say to them, as they use this map and as those questions arise, think about where your resources or your answers to those questions are. Through these sessions, we've highlighted people that are around you, organizations that are around you, people in your school who can assist you. A career readiness advisor need not be a person who thinks that they have to know everything. What they are the actor, the activator, they are the instigator, and they are the supporter of the young person or the person who wants to head forward. But they need not act like they are an encyclopedia or Wikipedia and try to know everything. Instead, these questions that come up tell you that you need to learn more. And when I talk in a few minutes, we're going to talk specifically about how you learn more about paying for college and career training.
Hey, Leroy, that's a great point. And that's something I always stress with our staffs in our school is how many young people get to watch an adult learn? You know, you don't have to be the expert, but how cool is it to go out and find the answer with your son, your daughter, your grandchild, or the person that you're working with on the college and career, and let them and learn it together. Boy, there's so much power in that. And I just love that aspect. And hopefully, folks, what we did is we introduced you some tools to begin engaging a conversation with your son or daughter. You know, it's amazing. We get manuals for everything we do in our life. You buy a new car. Okay. 4 years later, I still haven't looked at mine, but they give how to do it. You get a new refrigerator, you get a dishwasher, but nothing about getting our child and interacting with them on a college and career pathway. You know, the power of the conversation, you know, and just a quick tip. When you do have these conversations, you know, shut off the devices, make sure the TV's off in the background, have a think, but have the conversation. Don't have it once, say, oh, we talked about it. Have it ongoing because your child's going to keep evolving. So that was the concept behind the My Child's Profile, which we hope led into exploring the Brilliant Career Lab with your child, or let them do that. And then you being familiar with it so you know how to questions to ask them. And I'm going to be very honest, we stole this from senior citizens and grandparents. The thing I love about grandparents is they never accept the first answer. How was school today? Good. At home, I say, okay, good, and move on. But my parents would say, well, what made it good? And they'd follow up. And that's where the conversation came, not from the first question, but the second and the third. And that's where we got the depth. And I'd watch my own kids with their grandparents light up because they seemed like they cared enough to ask multiple questions. So hopefully we set those tools up for you. And the specific one we gave you was my career map, my CCR map that we think is a nice tool to lay out with you. Tara, you want to share a little bit on that?
Yeah, so as both Leroy and Ron mentioned, this was a tool that we designed just to walk you through the training, but also to keep you sort of focused on the pretty simple pillars of college and career readiness. So if you boil this whole My CCR map down, these are the 6 things that we're asking you to be paying attention to no matter where you are. So I know, you know, if you have a student that's in 6th grade, or you have an 11th grader, or you even have a 12th grader, these steps, these prompts, and these actions will really guide you through the college and career readiness process. You know, so you're sort of starting where you're starting, but the outcome, you know, you'll land in the right place if you're paying attention to these simple steps. And as we know, simple is powerful. So to not be overwhelmed by all of the things that you might be feeling bogged down by, or all of the resources that you have to want to check out, or all of the unknowns, the questions you're not sure you are questions yet. If you just keep coming back to these very simple steps, you'll be able to move through that planning process nicely.
Tara, you know, it's fascinating. You know, none of these are new ideas. It's just idea of being proactive and doing them earlier and doing them consistently with your child. You know, it's looking now, if they're in 4th or 5th grade, about paying for college, whether it's the 529 plans or setting up situations to go after scholarships and looking at pathways. Again, it's just having the conversations earlier. A lot of people get stressed at the last minute because they're scrambling to do that. You know, what a cool thing. We did it with all of our middle school students, is had them draft out a resume for themselves. And we focused it around essential skills and experiences, but what they have to offer. And boy, what a natural lead in when they update that into writing their college essay. You know, to me, that's probably the most significant and important piece of writing a young person's going to do, other than cards and letters to grandma and grandpa about their future. So let's prepare them so it's natural and they've done it 3 or 4 times to get to themselves, rather than just doing it to get it done.
I think it's also important to note also, Ron, that, you know, they're going to change their mind. So if you can help initiate these conversations now about their interests, their passions, their skills, possibly come up with a potential career field that would be a good fit, or different, working through some college conversations, that will continue to evolve for them as they learn more and they develop their interests, they develop those skills, they become more experienced. And that's a really good thing. It's okay that they're they're making movements within this pathway. It doesn't have to be linear. And so these tools, these resources, these conversations are important to have kind of ongoing. It's really, it never really ends. You want,
Right.
you want to be able to keep the lines open and continue to push your child to think about, what is it that they really would enjoy doing as an adult? What kind of lifestyle do they want to be? What kind of campus what are they really looking for? And those are the prompts that a parent or family member, caregiver can really, kind of use to nudge their child along.
And like you said, Terry, it's going to change. Their majors are going to change. One of the old sayings I love is if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. That's why I love the concept of this mapping out, because there's going to be forks in the road, but say things are going to change, but have a sense of direction as to where you're going. And I think the earlier youngsters get these skills, the more regular conversations you have with them, the more prepared they are and the less stress it's going to be when the time comes to put them in action. And we believe they're critical just because of the new paradigm and the shifts that we're seeing in the college and career readiness and in the workplace. And Leroy's going to share a little bit about, his insight and his experience about, what is the new paradigm?
Well, Ron, for sure, an optimum word in all of this for everybody is change. And so, there's a couple things to help us think about and frame that change in the context of education, and particularly as it relates to college and career readiness. So, federal government surveys in the federal government have shown that the number of people who believe they're going to do education differently, change schools, change the way they pay for it. A lot of people are recognizing that they may do things differently in the future. And everybody understands that technology will really accelerate that. But I think about when we talk about change in education, it often leads to fear. There's a lot of fear, for example, in what I'm going to talk about related to college costs. But I'm here to bring some good news. I'm here to tell you that change in education has also meant evolution. And in the education area, this evolution is happening fast. Now, for example, in college admissions, many colleges are doing virtual college tours. We know that. But they're also dropping the SAT. The SAT changed its own format several days ago. They're dropping SAT requirements. They're changing the way that they recruit students. So they're recognizing, they're accelerating, opening the doors of opportunity. And Ron, even though those competitive schools are getting more apps, they're doing it too, even though they're getting more. Certainly the schools that are not getting as much are changing. So there is growing opportunity. Secondly, in other areas like college cost, we're thinking about things differently. There's a brand new, the first one in 15, 20 years, new BA granting university that's going to be 3 years. And a student would be able to get their degree for $45,000 without any financial aid for 3 years. That's an incredible figure for college education. It's almost old school. And in the workplace, we know what technology is doing. But in essential skills, I want to point out what change means. Change doesn't mean the essential skills change. Change means, in some ways, how kids and young people in the workplace use the essential skills. I was listening the other day of a dad whose son did everything correct. He went to college. He went to business school after college, first in his family to do that. He got a job with a corporation, now he works at home. And the dad was bemoaning that the young man doesn't get to go to work to have the interface with others in the office. What I said to the dad was, that young man has to learn how to use the digital platforms and the technology to do networking. When they do work, they've got to struggle with it, use ways to communicate to show that they're being resilient and they have grit. So the technology doesn't change the need for essential skills. Not being in the same office, how you apply them in your life, that's what changes. But as I close, Ron, I want to take a focused moment. And as I close, Tara, I want to take a focused moment and recognize that people are fearful about paying for college. But let me give you some reasons why you should not be fearful, and two or three takeaways. Number one, More colleges than ever have frozen their tuitions. Some are even thinking about reducing it. That's a recognition not only that people are struggling because of pandemic, that's a recognition that the thing was overpriced in some places to begin with. So there's not a reversal on college spending, not a reversal that see college costs go down, but there's an effort to stabilize it. Second thing is, fueled by PPE, the government program that gave money to colleges. A lot of stuff was in the news, Ron and Tara, about people who were abusing it. I won't mention the name of any California sports teams who got PPE money and gave it back, but there was all of that out there. Do you know what was missing? The millions and billions of dollars that was given to higher education institutions to help people during PPE, during COVID. And the federal government didn't give the money and say, you can only spend it on dorms or plates for the dining hall. They said schools use it to help people. A lot of schools used it to help retire debt. And then there is the new philanthropy. There actually is more, there's been a multi-billion dollar increase, it can't be measured yet, in scholarship funds because of the philanthropy coming out of the pandemic. So people heard about the gentleman who gave money to cancel all the loans of the graduates of Morehouse College. That was one that caught the attention of the media. But there's more like that out. So philanthropy to pay for college costs has grown. Now the tidbits, and let me close. Number one, even with this increased philanthropy, there is increased need. Early bird gets the worm. People who are passive aggressive in the process get the worm. The opportunity that's been created in COVID, in the pandemic, for families looking for financial aid is the ability to touch individual counselors. What am I saying? Call the financial aid offices, contact the scholarship organizations directly, talk to people and look for the opportunity. Reach into these people and ask. It is not going to come to you, but it is available out there. The second thing is there are key resources that have been improved. Everyone must contact their state agencies that provide financial aid, guidance, and support. And Tara, I have erred because we're going to get a slide out with those particular links to all of those state agencies, because you need to, if you're in Hawaii, call the Hawaii. If you're in Connecticut, call the Connecticut. If you're in New York State, the New York State Higher Education Finance Commission is incredible. All of these organizations have ramped up in the last 2 years to provide more services. So there are more services than ever, but you got to go get them.
Hey, Leroy, thanks for that. We covered that in session 3. We used New York State's Higher Education Consortium as the example. And that's level 2 of applying for financial aid. A lot of people don't do it. And every state.
People have to learn that in this environment.
Right.
I want people to remember that on the other end of these emails, on the other end of these phones, are a dedicated group of professionals who really want to help people access schools. And I'm back to that thing again, Ron. If without any schools, no students, no college.
Thank you for that, Leroy. And the same thing in that webinar I talked about that UVM did for us. The guy talked about call us. The school's admission counselors can help you in the application process to get that insight. Boy, that sounds like, Leroy, one of those networking skills that we're expanding our network. But there is a person behind each email and phone. And what Leroy talked about is, the financial aid. And we're going to get into the scholarships on the state level. We gave you a resource, I believe, with your state on it, with a click and link to bring you right there in session 3. But on February 17th in the evening, we're running a webinar. It's going to be a little bit more interactive and looking at in depth how to find local statewide scholarship. This is beyond the financial aid that colleges give and how to apply for them. For those of you who have younger children, in March, we're looking about how to have tips on conducting virtual or in-person college visits. And then in April, we're looking to go back and say, okay, you've received the financial aid. Now let's find the right fit and how to compare them and understand what the true cost for each of the options you would have. Many of our families have done that with kids, and it's surprising. You know, two of my kids, the least expensive one to us was their first choice school when we thought at first we'd never be able to pay for it. But because of the different aspects. So we're going to cover that in more depth. Folks, as we begin wrapping up, I'd like you to click on the www.mentimeter in the chat box, and then go to that and complete the poll. I've seen a few of you have, but as we begin wrapping this up, we're a true believer at CFES Brilliant Pathways. When someone gives you feedback, someone gives you a gift, someone gives you a tool, you have to do something with it. A lot of people go to trainings and then they don't have their first step coming back. So we're asking you, what is one of the first steps that you would like to do? If you go to that www.menti, it's code number 5581 space 4780. Again, the code is 5581 4780. And I'm sharing the screen with the action popping up there. The other thing we didn't mention, I just saw some going in March. We are hosting a CCR readiness advisor training for high school juniors, seniors, and some sophomores. And it's designed to get to harness that power of peer influence so that in addition to their teachers, their counselors, kids are working and supporting their peers in the college application process. Boy, what a great way is to have someone review the letter or information as they're talking about themselves, that one of their friends that knows them the best, you know, because it's so hard to do that. It's cool to watch all these dots coming through here, but folks, we really believe it's so important for you to take the next step. What I can't stress enough is please utilize the CFES Brilliant Pathways webpage and our resources there. Now that you've participated in this, you will be on our mailing list of upcoming webinars and programs. Many of them won't apply to you because they are so diverse with our audience, but some of them may be of interest. That's why we put Finding Scholarships as the first one starting in February. You know, one of the recommendations someone that put in here with the feedback was that we should do this twice a year. I take twice a year as 2 or 3 times, and I love the concept. I could see us doing this again early in the fall and really focusing in more of the application process and preparing all that for the sophomores, juniors, and seniors are in it, and then another one this time of year for the younger families. So we will follow up with that. But we plan on offering at CFES Brilliant Pathways a monthly webinar on some aspect for families that target supporting their child on a college and career pathway. Folks, great job with the your next steps. Thank you for completing that. And Tara, if you want to show the last slide, we're going to wrap this up, folks, because you've given us where we're going. We've shared our resources with you. We've got you on our mailing list for upcoming activities. But as we wrap this up, we want to let you know that many of you are eligible for a gift card that was part of the promotion. There's one per family. In order to receive that gift card, what you need to do is go back into the link that was put in there or on the webpage and complete that evaluation process, because that'll give us your name, your contact information. And once people that have completed the training, and again, if folks are watching this live because you didn't get the recorded session because you couldn't watch it live, you still need to go back and complete it after you watch the end results, and then we will get the gift cards to you. We will be working on that next week, the first week of February. In many cases, we will be hand delivering them to the schools, like the schools that I'm the program director with, and we have a network to get them out through that. Those of you that are not in our active schools or not located near the New York area, they will be mailed to you once you complete the online survey and indicate that you have completed all sessions of the training. And again, it's one gift card. I believe it was a value of about $25 for families, for certain eligible families and schools. In addition to that, you will be receiving our certificate of completion for the level 1 college and career readiness advising, signed by the Education and Social Services School at the University of Vermont, and CFES Brilliant Pathways. And some of the cool things in the past is some of our family says it's the first time they've gotten a certificate from a college or a university. But again, it's a sign of getting certificates of values into people's hands. Hopefully, this training has given you some ideas, has planted the seed, hopefully has focused more questions from you than we may have answered. But again, it's about learning the answers to the questions we have together as we move forward. But again, CFES Brilliant Pathways is here to support you and your child on their college and career pathways. In March, we are doing a college and career readiness training with high school students that your son or daughter may be interested in taking. It'll be different than this, but hopefully it supplements it well. Again, I'm seeing a bunch of comments in there. If we could please repost the link in the chat, Kelsey, for the survey. Folks, if you don't get it when we end, you can go back to, it's right at the bottom of session 4 in the web pages that you went on to complete the on-demand sessions 2 and 3. It's the same link. I see someone has posted it there. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Leroy, Tara, any goodbyes?
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll hang on for a little bit. If you have a general question you want to put in the chat box, or if you need to complete the one of the links to the surveys. Go in. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.